You might say that this year's Distinguished Service Award presentation began as a Farm City story. For the first time in a dozen years, Farm Bureau's highest honor is awarded to a couple. He's from the farm, she's from the city. But in the 42 years since they've been married, they've joined forces to tell the farmer's story and to make a positive impact for Farm Bureau. Jack Hilton Wood, Jr. grew up on his family's farm in Anderson County. The oldest of 4 boys, he still lives in the house where he was born and raised. Janice Lorraine Poole grew up in the city. She had never been on a farm until she met the love of her life, Buddy Wood.
I grew up in town. I had never even been on a farm when we met.
Farming was all Buddy knew. In fact, he loved to work the land.
When I started farming, of course, as a kid, we had everything. We used to milk cows, grade C milk, sold grade C milk. And then when we went to started going off to college, we had to sell our dairy cows, but we was mostly involved in row crop farms. At one time, we had it all. We had cotton, grain, wheat, and then soybeans later on. And we just did a little bit of everything. Hay, less diesel. Back then, less diesel was big. That's what helped put us through school. I'd come home on weekends and tie sacks on the combine.
Like so many active and successful Farm Bureau families, church involvement has played a fundamental role in the life of Buddy and Janice, right down to the day they first met.
There was a group of other guys from Anderson, and we happened to go to that church that night, and that's how I met her, and we dated for 7 years before we got married.
We had a youth revival that week, and one of my friends had invited him, but after he got there, she wasn't real nice to him because there was another guy there that she wanted to see. But another friend and I asked them to come. We always had a social after church at our leader's house every Sunday night. But during the youth revival, we had a big social, and so we asked them to come on, and that's how I met him.
Janice admits that she didn't quite know what the future held when she first met that young farm boy. Nor did her family. Apparently, they had a different perspective of farm life.
I really didn't know what to expect. All my family all thought, oh, he's a farmer, he's going to be rich, but they sort of surprised me just a little bit.
Janice learned over time that her family's perception might not have been too far from the truth. While their wealth may not have afforded extravagant living, their wealth did manifest itself in great family life, active civic involvement, and an unforgettable life in Farm Bureau, a life that spans the last 3 decades. Buddy's dad was the Anderson County Farm Bureau president back in the early 1970s. The elder son followed his dad's example in 1985 when he became county president and served for 3 years. Buddy also served 24 years as a state director from Anderson County, as well as 22 years as a member of the Farm Bureau Marketing Association Board and Executive Committee. He's been a member of the Farm Bureau Nominating Committee and received Farm Bureau's Grassroots GR All-Star Award for his legislative work on both local and statewide levels. For the past several years, Buddy and Janice have assisted Farm Bureau's government relations initiatives by inviting legislators to spend the day on their family farm for a dove shoot. The couple has attended 25 consecutive annual meetings in Myrtle Beach and 21 American Farm Bureau meetings where Buddy was a voting delegate in 1987.
When people get with Farm Bureau like we and other families and couples, you look forward to every meeting, or organized meeting, annual meeting, state meetings, whatever, because you see people that you hadn't seen in a month or 2, and it's just like a reunion. I mean, once you get involved with Farm Bureau and start going to meetings, it's great just to know, see these people, every chance we get to see them. So we try to take advantage of to go into every meeting that we can to get with our friends, and it's just a great bunch of people.
Lifelong friendships have been built.
Janice has been equally busy in Farm Bureau work. She began her Farm Bureau volunteer work in the early 1980s as a member of the Anderson County Farm Bureau Women's Committee and was named as the Piedmont District Representative to the state's Women's Leadership Committee in 1995. Janice has been a voting delegate at several American Farm Bureau women's meetings and served as a voting delegate and alternate to our state conventions.
What we do for our youth is just phenomenal. They are our lifeblood, and they're going to be, they are our future. And what I've seen from the the kids at youth leadership and the ones that were in the talent contest, especially youth leadership, and they meet each other and they stay friends. We've made so many friends, and being on the women's committee at the county level, it's just sort of like a support group. I mean, we're friends and we do business and we're there for each other, and it's just been good.
Janice has seen Anderson County women's programs grow from no committee at all to 12 active members who work with Farm Bureau's youth, educational, and promotional programs. The couple has also been active outside Farm Bureau. They used to work closely with the local annual Special Olympics, a cause later adopted by Anderson County Farm Bureau.
We did a lot of volunteer work with Special Olympics. Years ago, we helped with their Christmas parties and went to their dances and helped with those and volunteered on those. And then that sort of involved in the Farm Bureau started taking over, and our women's chair took that on as one of our projects. And every year, and it's been going on for about 25 years, we have served ice cream to the Special Olympics. And that's grown from 100 athletes to this last year. We had a little over 600 athletes that we serve ice cream to every year. And it's been a good project for us too, very rewarding.
Buddy has served on a number of other boards and committees. He's currently the chairman of the Anderson County Transportation Committee. And he served on the South Carolina Ag Commission and as a director for the Federal Land Bank. Ask anyone in the state to name a large hay producer, and one of the first names they'll give you is Buddy Wood. It's no wonder with the farm motto, "Have straw, we'll haul." He sells hay and straw across the Carolinas and beyond.
Right now, mostly is in small grains and hay. And about 20 years ago, we got involved with the byproduct of grain, the straw. The straw business come in this part of the state. Instead of running it through a mulcher on a combine or just burning it, we started baling straw. So straw has been good to me the last 20 years.
The desire to get a good education is something the couple has in common. Janice finished with an art degree from Anderson College, where she was in the Glee Club and concert choir. Even then, Janice learned the importance educational scholarships and work-study programs can make in the life of a young person.
I worked with one of the professors as an assistant in psychology and to help pay my way. And now kids, when they work and get work studies, they make a lot. I made 50 cents an hour, but I got a WMU scholarship through my church and helped pay for my college.
Janice went on to work as a teacher with the local Head Start program in a doctor's office, and she managed a local shoe store. She also managed to raise daughter Chris, who's now married and is the mom of Janice and Buddy's 2 granddaughters. Of course, they each know what it's like to be involved in Farm Bureau. Chris grew up in the organization and participated in all of the women's sponsored youth activities. Buddy and his brother Barry both attended Clemson. For some reason, Buddy doesn't say a lot about the other 2 brothers attending that other school in Columbia. Buddy started Clemson as an ag engineering major before changing his major to ag economics. He later joined the Army Reserves and earned the rank of drill sergeant. Buddy also ran a local Massey Ferguson dealership and local service station along the way, but he never relinquished his work on the farm. Even though their immediate family was small, Buddy's brothers and other family members were always around to help when the work needed to be done.
I had 3 brothers younger than I am, and all of us were raised on the farm. But I was the only one that stayed with Daddy because the rest of them wanted to get into something else. One of them turned out to be a lawyer. One of them retired out of the Air Force, flew jet planes. The other brother went in the Navy, flew for a while, and he went into banking. At no time did I not have help from them. They have helped me for the last 40 years on the farm. They come in on the summers. My brother in Columbia would drive up every weekend and help. My brother in the Air Force, when he could, if he's in the States, he would come down and take his whole month vacation with him. And my other brother that was in banking and was a lawyer, he'd come as much as he could. If he didn't, he sent his boys. So I couldn't have done it without the help from my brothers.
Like most typical farm boys of that era, weekends were a time for working and weekdays were a time for school, except at fair time.
We started in '52, we got dairy calves. I was 11 years old then, I think. And we raised those cows, we showed them. Back then we showed them at the Anderson County Fair. Spartanburg Interstate Fair, and then Columbia. And we'd take off school back then, there was no problem. We'd be gone for 2 or 3 days just tending these cows. They would stay at the fair all week. We looked forward to that. All 4 of us raised Holstein show cows when it was coming up. And then, like I say, when we come home, we didn't get to go off much on weekends and visit our first cousin, because we had to milk cows 7 days a week. But that wasn't no problem. That's just where we come up. And I know there's some days that they didn't ever let us get out of school unless it was for showing cows or something like that. But I love to plow. And the days he would let me stay out and get on that end farm and plow, I'd get up real early to go out there and get in the field before the school bus come up the road, because I wanted to let them know I was out plowing that day and I didn't have to go to school. I remember that more than anything else. The few days that he allowed me to stay out and plow, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed being outside.
We end where we began, with the tale of a farm-city connection, with a couple of 42 years working to enhance the lives of Farm Bureau members on and off the farm.
Farm Bureau does so much for the Farm Bureau members and the farmers. I really don't see how anybody that farms could do without them. And we do have some farmers that's not members of Farm Bureau, but they could just gain so much more knowledge, because Farm Bureau, that's their main concern, is helping farmers. And some of these people still don't realize that. They're not just an insurance company. They do so much for farm people and families. It's a farm family organization. And I would just get out and tell them, so you just need to join. They'll help your operation, because they can just keep you abreast of a lot of things. Because especially with these cutbacks through the agriculture colleges that used to supply a lot of this information and do stuff like that, Farm Bureau has had to get in there and pick up a lot of this. And they're about the only people out there that's looking out for the farmers.
It's so rewarding to be involved in Farm Bureau, because even when we're not at Farm Bureau functions, we run into people who are Farm Bureau members, see them on other levels, and our friendships, they're just amazing on how you can depend on them. It's just like a family. It's just a true family is what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Buddy and Janice Wood, South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation's 2009 Distinguished Service Award recipients.